for the sake of some theories that have no basis at all, okay, then we have to guard our memories. We have to keep the narratives alive. It is our duty. Okay, we have our we can remember those atrocities right now because our parents, our grandparents did their duties very well to pass on to us into our memories what happened. And so we are in this stage when uh, when the torch is passed to us. And so we have to keep narrating, we have to keep remembering in order to pass the torch to the next generation. Okay? But nevertheless, so there is no question about remembering. We have to remember. Okay? It is a duty to tell. Remembering concerns the future. But with regard to forgetting, the thing that I was trying to argue here is that we have to we have also in the opposite pole of remembering is forgetting. We have to forget because we need to remember better. Okay, uh, in the psychoanalytic sense, okay, those who are traumatized cannot actually remember better. It is when they confront the past as past that they can really narrate what happened to them. So that's one sense that we have to that we have to do. We have to forget because we have to remember better, and also we have to forget because I have already given my three arguments on why we should forget, right? Because we need to construct identity, we need to narrate uh, uh, our collective identity towards the future. So the history is not only about the trauma. We also have to work. We also have to have the initiative so that from those dark stages in our history, we can have a project of a happy memory in the future. I take inspiration from Paul Ricoeur here that trauma or violence is not or should not be the last word of history. Happiness still should be the last word of history. And so we have to keep working. We have to keep uh, having that initiative so that we can be happy again as a nation. And this brings me to the second reactor's point. But with the with the current situation of our Philippine politics, right? Marcos Jr., the president, is very adamant to say, "I'm not going to forgive. I'm not going to apologize." Okay. In one interview, he's even saying, "My father was not a dictator." Okay. So there are this. We have to acknowledge that these are indeed real stumbling blocks on how we can initiate or how stumbling blocks in initiating the process of forgetting, right? We have to resist this kind of narratives, and that is the duty of remembering. We have to resist the duty to downplay the memories of the past. Okay? The duty of forgetting is to narrate the stories without anger. And that's why the title of the presentation as a project, okay? It concerns the future. It may not be possible right now, but we have to begin somewhere, okay? We have to also make pain, okay? We also should make a narrative where pain is no longer the central plot, but the collective action not to let those things happen again. We can do that without the pain. And that is the duty of forgetting.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for answering that question. Next, we have another question. Will removing Ferdinand Marcos from the libingan ng mga bayani help the Filipinos properly forget?
Come again. Sorry.
Will removing Ferdinand Marcos from the libingan ng mga bayani help the Filipinos properly forget?
That is a very difficult question and a very political question, right? Okay, what does the burial of Marcos Sr. entail? Remember that during the time of Duterte, the premise was to put an end to this controversy. I mean, that's the version of Duterte's moving on. Okay, let's move on with this issue. Okay, wala namang na-violate na mga batas, yung pagpapalibing sa libingan ng mga bayani. Okay, so sige na, gawin na natin yan. Okay, it's the version of Duterte's forgetting. But come to think this, you see, forgetting needs symbols. Okay, it's not memory is not only about the legalities. Okay, much of our collective memory, much of our collective identity is grounded on symbols. Okay, for me personally, why is it that the burial happened first, even before we made sure that the Marcoses apologized for those atrocities? Okay, it could have been the way I interpreted it that time was it was again powerful taking over our history, because had Duterte been more concerned about the memories of the victims, okay, he could have prioritized the pains, the miseries of the traumatized collective memory, perhaps by giving an apology, okay, to the atrocities that happened. Okay, it could have been the first move before we buried Marcos Sr. in the libingan ng mga bayani. For Duterte, it was very legal, but the question of the burial was more of a cultural and a political concern at the time. But the question is, should we remove Marcos Sr. in the libingan ng mga bayani? Honestly, I don't have an answer right now. Okay, should we remove it, or removing it will bring us to square one again of the process of moving on? Okay, so honestly, I don't have an answer to that. Although I am bent in saying, let it be. Okay, and we have the Marcos Jr. as a president today. He can be made more accountable. We can demand more things from him concerning the martial law era. But I know it may not be a satisfying answer, because actually I haven't thought about that. Perhaps in the second semester's ACP. Nag-plan na.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. We hope to see you, if ever. For our next question, given that there is a dichotomy of narratives regarding martial law and the Marcos family, there would be those who think that this forgetting does not apply to them. What then guarantees the actualization of this notion to forget, given that it does not apply to those who support the Marcoses? How can it be done as a collective and as a universal effort?
Very good question. That's precisely a kind of question that made me think of the Truth Commission, of the instituting Truth Commission, because the Truth Commission should be recognized by the state. So whether you don't agree to that narrative, well, it's a Truth Commission that said it. Okay, so it is now recognized by the state, and everybody should recognize it. It's like this is what happened in Rwanda. This happened in Africa when the Truth Commission presented these facts. So even those who are privileged, so those who are in the privileged position at the time, were forced to accept that these things happen. So it is no longer a matter of, well, I did not feel it anyway, or if maybe if I were an artist at the time, and there are some artists at the time who were privileged, okay, that then I no longer have the right to say the atrocities did not happen. Okay, why the need for the Truth Commission when in fact we have our historians? But precisely what's happening to our historians right now, right? Our historians right now are under attack. Okay, so we need, this is the time for me, okay, following studying from what happened to the genocides and other atrocities in other countries. Okay, for me, this is the time that the state should set the record straight. That atrocities happen, and these are the losses that we had. Okay, and so no matter where you are from this martial law narrative, then the state has said so, and so we have to accept it. But of course, we have to be vigilant, okay, as to how this Truth Commission would craft their narrative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering that question. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, we can only accommodate our last two questions. So for our second to the last question, why are many people going soft by just demanding apologies from the Marcoses? Considering the gravity of their actions, would it be completely justified to demand for accountability until they pay for the consequences of the crimes that they have committed against the Filipino people?
Well, first of all, apology seems not a soft thing to do, right? Contrary to our popular belief that giving an apology is a soft thing, it's not. If you take it from the perspective of politics, asking for apology demands more things. Okay, of course, I am not saying that we should not go for justice. That's my second point, right? On the things that we should do. We have to make Marcos accountable for in the name of justice, right? But I would not agree that asking for apology is a soft stance. Okay, for example, when Japan apologized for the atrocities committed during the Second World War, okay, it is never a soft stance. Okay, it's what? It's a powerful country bowing down to a less powerful country. It's more of a symbolic representation on a representation of how a powerful entity can bow down to a less powerful entity. That's why if you can see, not all nations apologize. Okay, it is never a soft stand. It is politically speaking, it is a difficult thing to do. Okay, I am not saying that we should not go for the restorative justice. Of course, we have to do that. Okay, but you see, justice justice does not exhaust the narrative of trauma. Okay? Parang ano lang yan, halimbawa, di ba? Nag-break kayo ng jowa mo, ng boyfriend mo. Binigay niya lahat sa'yo, uli, yung mga binigay mo, ibinalik niya. Okay? Then, naibigay na siya, di ba? Yung materiality nung breakup ay na-serve, naibigay sa'yo, yung mga, naisa-uli, yung mga dapat sa'yo. Apology operates in a different and even perhaps a higher ground. Okay? Justice does not exhaust the possibility of demanding for accountability. It's more spiritual. I am saying religious, okay? Apology is more of a spiritual nature. Okay? That's why to give an apology is to admit, okay, that I have to bow down, for example. Okay? That I have to accept my guilt. And that's what Marcos Jr. is not saying. And if you can see, we cannot say that it is soft because Marcos may, okay, give all those money, okay, ibigay niyo na kung ano yung mga na-recover ng PCGG. O sige, ibigay niyo lahat. But here is the thing. Actually, the most difficult thing to be demanded from them is apology. That's why it is never soft. We are demanding the most difficult thing that they will give. So it is never a soft stand.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Adrian, for comprehensively answering that question. Actually, yung last question po natin, na-answer mo na because it was also a question on how can one measure justice. But I think that the previous answer already created a limelight, a spotlight as to what exactly does justice mean. So now, that concludes our open forum. I would like to express my gratitude to our sharers and reactors, as well as to those who gave us their questions in the open forum. I personally learned a lot from this talk. Forgetting may not be the mood of the current generation time yet, but it's a project to begin with so that we can rebuild our terrible past. Truly, forgetting is not the call of the perpetrators, but rather it is the initiative of the victims to undergo that process. Again, forgetting is not an enemy of remembering. I could say that everyone had an insightful experience in this webinar based on how participative our audience were in the open forum. Now, to show our gratitude to our resource speaker for his time and effort, we now present this electronic certificate of appreciation. Let me read the citation. The certificate. Tech team. While we wait for the tech team to flash the certificate, the Office of Student Affairs, Ateneo de Naga University, presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Adrian Remodo in grateful recognition of his expertise and service as resource speaker in the alternative class program entitled We Should Forget, Forgetting as a Project for the Martial Law Memory, held on November 4, 2022. Given this 4th day of November 2022 at the Ateneo de Naga University, City of Naga, Philippines. Signed, Mr. Rodolfo S.B. Bertus Jr., Director of Student Affairs, Ms. Janet B. Badong Badilla, Executive Director for Mission and Identity, Dr. Alfredo C. Fabay, Vice President for Higher Education, and Father Robert Ezequiel Rivera of the Society of Jesus University President. Thank you once again, Sir Adrian Remodo. We are grateful and delighted to have you as our speaker today. May I ask our speaker to turn on his camera, it's already turned on, for a quick photo opportunity with the certificate.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Quick photo up. One. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So thank you so much again, sir. And I would also like to express my gratitude to our participants who did not leave us until the end. Please do not forget to fill out the evaluation form, which you can access through the Google Form link that our staff will provide in the chat box or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Now, may I invite everyone to turn on their cameras so that we can have a memorable photo opportunity for this event. So to our participants, please turn on your camera. We'll have a photo opportunity kasi napakaganda ng discussion natin today. All right? So, I think let's wait for the others to open their camera. All right, so tech team.
And thank you to Al for the assistance. Please share beside me.
Hello po. Ako po yung mag-docu po. Mag-cue ako kapag mag-next slide na po ako. Smile lang po kayo ha. 1, 2, 3. Another one. Next. Another one. Ang dami, wait lang po. Next. Next.
Dami.
Okay na po. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Napakarami nating participants. Napakaraming gustong matuto in this event. And that's a wrap for this wonderful discussion, for this very, very insightful webinar. We hope that you enjoyed this webinar and gained new insights about how we can handle the historical events and the historical traumas that we had in the past. Once again, please do not forget to fill out the evaluation form, and our staff will be putting it in the chat box. So please do not forget to answer the evaluation form. Once again, this is Alisa Salvina. Thank you for coming, and please take care of yourselves. We hope to see you again in the next ACT webinars or workshops that we have prepared for you. Maraming salamat po and isang mapagmalayang hapon sa ating lahat.